Nothing new when it comes to Aston Martin, pure performance week in and week out. Part of this problem goes to the owner, Lawrence Stroll, who just seems to have zero to no knowledge when it comes to leading an F1 team. Another part is that there is a paid driver in his garage, which is his son, who knows that his seat cannot be threatened under any circumstances. Having a paid driver in your team just doesn't seem to work in any way, as is the case with Latifi and Williams. But who's to blame here? A huge part of the miserable performance should go to Lawrence Stroll, and in this video, we'll explain how he managed to turn a potential P4 team in the Constructors' Championship into a P9 hopeless and clueless team. To be honest, Aston Martin is a new name in the F1 sport when it comes to a commercial partnership with a team. The team was previously known as Racing Point up until 2020, and due to Lawrence buying stakes in Aston Martin, the team's entrance into F1 was kind of paved. However, Lawrence's entrance into F1 was made in 2018, when the then-called Force India declared bankruptcy due to the bad policies that were led by Vijay Mallya. The team was bought out by Lawrence Stroll and the consortium that he led named Racing Point for £80 million, and plus the assumption of £15 million in debt. The team was bought out for the second half of the 2018 season, and the team managed to finish P7 due to it starting with 0 points after the Hungarian GP. It became evident that Lawrence will lead this team with an emotional sense of hugely being involved, as he signed his son Lance Stroll to replace Esteban Ocon. It's true that Lance has shown potential in Williams, then everybody thought that he would continue his shining here in Racing Point. However, he was constantly outperformed by Sergio Perez, and the Mexican was leading the team on his own when it comes to scoring points. In fact, he was the one that brought the sole win for Force India in 2020 at the last race in Bahrain. For things to be more absurd for him, he didn't have a seat for the next year as Lawrence decided to sack him for Sebastian Vettel, the four-time world champion. Apparently, Aston Martin wanted to go in another direction, and Vettel fell in love with the vision that the team has. Now it seems like the best thing that happened to Perez is being sacked early from the team, and the fact that he had a contract for another season in the team, but Lawrence decided to call a clausula and kicked him out speaks volumes about his boss. 2021 came and there was tons of new regulations. Aston Martin was brand new to the sport, so it basically had to develop a new car. You may ask yourself, why not build from the previous one? Well, it's because the previous years, Racing Point was relying on copying other cars on the grid. That was the case with the 2020 car, which was recognized on the grid as the pink Mercedes. Lawrence Stroll literally bought every part there could be bought out from other teams, in this case Mercedes, and copied every other part that couldn't be bought out. Protests came along, with Renault being the loudest one in the paddock because they were in direct competition with Racing Point for the P4. FIA has declared the car to be legal, but they have copied a part that was on the listed parts category, which was the brake ducts. From 2020 and on, brake ducts are supposed to be invented by the team, not bought or copied. This is why the team was fined €400,000 and 15 points deduction, which was seen as a joke by other F1 teams. Nevertheless, the team finished P4 with high hopes for the next season. However, 2021 was a very disappointing season for Aston Martin, the new name of Racing Point. Although the team had the four-time world champion, the engineers and the leadership of the team just didn't have a solution to come up with a car that would suit these regulations. All of the other teams already had experienced engineers who actually knew how this sport works. Without offense to the Aston Martin engineers, of course, it's just they've copied designs for the past 3 years. Now when the real challenge came along, the team failed to deliver massively. There were only 2 good results that the team managed to pick up in the top 3 finish, which was both from Sebastian Vettel scoring P2 in Hungary and in Baku. However, he was disqualified in Hungary due to not being able to provide the minimum amount of fuel after the race, which was 1 liter. The team ended 7th in the Constructors' Championship, with Vettel ranking 43 and Stroll 34 points in total. With 2021 being a season to forget, Aston Martin focused on the next season with very high hopes due to the new aerodynamical changes and regulations. It was a fresh, brand new start for all the teams on the paddock, and this is where they received the chance to capitalize on this new opportunity. Teams like Haas, Williams, and Alfa Romeo were also hoping for a bounce back, which seems good now for the Ferrari-powered cars of Haas and Alfa Romeo. But Aston Martin just continued to decrease in performance, and more controversies were also involved regarding their car design. The one controversy that has drawn a massive amount of attention was Barcelona 2022, where Aston Martin copied the side pod design of Red Bull, something that the Austrian team has used in order to reduce the porpoising problem. However, Lawrence should have known better than this, as side pods itself isn't enough to solve the problem with bad performance and porpoising. Red Bull differs from other teams in their underfloor, which looks like a labyrinth with all the elevations and depressions. Aston Martin was really bad in the Barcelona weekend, as they didn't manage to pass Q1 on Saturday and finished way outside of the points sections on Sunday. Therefore, the adjective green Red Bull prior to the race was the biggest joke that happened on the weekend. Lance Stroll is the other problem in the team, and it seems like the paid driver starts to stick to his name now more compared to previous seasons. He's constantly outperformed by Vettel, just like he was by Perez, and it doesn't seem like the Canadian has the willpower to improve himself. It's true that the team itself is bad and without any innovation or knowledge on how to lead the engineering processes in the team. You cannot reach far. But with Lance driving as he's now, there isn't anything we can add to make the team feel hope or enthusiasm for the remainder of the season. There aren't many positive things going around for Aston Martin on social media either. According to Ralf Schumacher, Lawrence Stroll loves to be involved in the technical decisions that are made in these kinds of meetings. Although his knowledge is very limited in this area, Schumacher is very close to Vettel, so we wouldn't think that he lies or he doesn't have an idea what he's talking about. The 2022 season is far away from what Aston Martin wants to be, and there aren't any signs that the team will improve anytime soon. As of now, the team sits on P9 with Williams being the only team behind them. Considering the fact that Albon is one of the drivers that are constantly in the mix for the top 10, and Latifi passing into Q3 for the first time in Silverstone, Aston Martin might find themselves in competition for the 9th place too. From being in top 4 team to not even belonging to the midfield, it's something that only a guy like Lawrence Stroll can achieve. For the 2023 season, it seems like the team has a much bigger ambition. The new production factory has been finished, and Aston Martin has started to bring in people from Red Bull and Mercedes in order to give them new challenges and make them competitive yet again in the paddock. How much will this go through? We have no idea. It's Aston Martin, and there isn't anything certain about this team. What's certain is that Vettel is running his last years of F1 racing in a team that isn't able to compete for points, and Lance Stroll is receiving paychecks that he doesn't deserve. What do you think is next for Aston Martin? Do you think that the British-based team will up its game and will become relevant in times to come? Or do you think that the only way the team will see progress forward is by getting rid of the chains of Lawrence Stroll? Let us know in the comments below.